Reports are coming in on the extent of the damage from all those wildfires in northwestern North Dakota. Williams County commissioners say they are concerned of the mental toll for everyone impacted. Michael Anthony has more on the scale of this disaster.
The two large fires each traveled approximately 20 miles, resulting in the deaths of 2 individuals, 8 injuries, and 90,000 acres. The survivors are still dealing with the aftermath.
Some of these guys are still euthanizing cattle today.
Williams County Emergency Manager Mike Smith said it was as bad as he's ever seen it.
Pretty much a record event for our county.
County commissioners met Tuesday to approve an emergency declaration and express concern for everyone's mental health.
Money and property, it's terrible, but human life is the most important.
With a critical incident stress management session conducted among the first responders this week, they now prepare for what could be another tough weather pattern.
Trying to get the guys rested, get their equipment back in order, and just make sure we're taking care of those guys.
Despite the devastation, officials say they were very grateful for the 31 first response agencies across North Dakota and Montana that came to help. Without them, the impacts would have been far worse.